This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Thursday, June 20th, 2024. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
Along the Texas coast, tropical storm warnings are in effect.
A lot of heavy rain is forecast for southern Texas.
I'm Julie Walker.
The battle for Virginia's 5th congressional seat still too close to call. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
Requiring the Bible's 10 Commandments back in the classroom. Mike Hempen reports.
More pushback surrounding President Biden's new immigration policy.
The courts are going to throw this out.
I'm Clayton Neville.
Investors are back at it after the Juneteenth market holiday. The S&P 500 index opens at a record high this morning. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
More on the fate of an American soldier sentenced to 4 years in a Russian prison.
A junior high-like prank was captured on video by a state lawmaker. I'm Katie Clark with details.
All ahead on America in the Morning. As more than 100 million Americans are baking in the first heat wave of the season in the Northeast and Midwest, the first named storm of 2024 is taking aim at eastern Mexico. But as correspondent Julie Walker reports, Tropical Storm Alberto has people in coastal Texas and Louisiana battening down the hatches.
Along the Texas coast, tropical storm warnings are in effect, with heavy surf already coming in, rain coming down, and the potential for flash flooding.
Users need to be aware that this is a very large system, and rainfall and impacts will occur well away from the center.
Larry Kelly with the National Hurricane Center.
A lot of heavy rain is forecast for southern Texas.
Killer on the loose in Arkansas.
Brownsville and westward towards San Antonio. The Weather Prediction Center does have a risk of flash flooding over those areas.
He says 5 to 10 inches of rain with locally higher amounts of 15 inches are forecast. Texas Governor Greg Abbott increased the readiness level of the State Emergency Operations Center and says he's activating all necessary resources to support residents and communities.
We were warning people mainly because of the extreme riptides that we were having at the time. Some surfers got upset about it, but I had to look at the safety of our visitors and the safety of my rescue officers who were working, because those conditions were extremely bad out there.
The Texas coast from Corpus Christi to Brownsville and beyond is experiencing flooding from high tides and rain. Surfside Beach Mayor Greg Bisso says with the Gulf on one side and the bay on the other, there's no escaping the water.
We're just a slither of land in between it, and like I said, on the west end of the island, it's almost completely underwater, and the east end is getting that way also now.
He says houses are on stilts, so they're not flooding, but everything on the ground in the path of the water is, including any cars residents did not move.
This isn't the worst I've seen it, but it's a whole lot worse than what I thought it was going to be.
Tropical Storm Alberto, forming in the southwest Gulf, is the first named storm of the hurricane season. I'm Julie Walker.
Virginians in the 5th District still don't know who the Republican nominee is going to be 24 hours after Election Day, with the vote still too close to call. John Stolnis has that story from Washington.
Speaking to supporters Tuesday night in Lynchburg, the man hoping to oust House Freedom Caucus Chair Bob Good from his congressional seat, John McGuire, declared victory.
The votes are in, and the people have spoken. It is an honor to be your Republican nominee for the 5th Congressional District.
But that declaration was premature. As of last night, 98% of the vote had been tallied, and McGuire held a scant 321-vote lead, 50.3 to 49.7%, still too close to call. Speaking to his supporters as the votes were being tallied, Congressman Good told them he's not conceding anything yet.
Outstanding ballots are greater than the margin right now, so we are prayerfully hopeful that victory will be realized, but we don't know how long that's going to take.
McGuire received the endorsement of President Trump after Good initially announced his support for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis for president, not Trump. Former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy also threw his weight behind McGuire. Good was one of 8 House Republicans to oust McCarthy from his speakership. McGuire thanked Trump in his remarks Tuesday night.
What does he say? Huge with a Y, huge. He was a huge part of our win, and I will not forget that. And, we need to put America first.
Both conservatives are seen as far-right candidates by some, including former Republican Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger, who described the two men by saying, quote, "Would you rather have dysentery or the flu?" It's unclear when an official winner will be named. In Virginia's 7th district, Eugene Vindman won the Democratic nomination.
My grassroots movement stands against the MAGA extremist agenda. Virginia voters are first and foremost values-driven and want to elect leaders with integrity who preserve fundamental rights and freedoms and not extremists.
Vindman played a prominent role in Trump's first impeachment. He'll face Republican Derek Anderson in November for the seat being vacated by Democrat Abigail Spanberger, who is running for governor in 2025. John Stolnis, Washington.
The 10 Commandments back in the classroom when America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. Tropical rains, top weather concerns. AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy provides the Thursday forecast.
Tropical Storm Alberto, the first named tropical system of the season, will be making landfall first thing this morning over Mexico. But the rainfall associated with the storm will extend well to the north into South Texas. It will be gusty at times, but the stronger winds should largely remain to the south. This rainfall could even reach up to the Big Bend, and rainfall could be heavy enough to produce flash flooding throughout the day and into tonight. Keeping with the tropics, AccuWeather hurricane experts are also monitoring another feature headed toward northern Florida late tonight, which could bring some showers and heavier thunderstorms. This looks much less organized. However, Florida will see some showers and thunderstorms prior to the system's arrival throughout the day, some containing drenching rainfall. A cold front across the northern plains into the northeast will be slowly dipping southward, leading to widespread showers and thunderstorms from eastern South Dakota and Nebraska through southern Minnesota and Iowa, and then continuing through the rest of the Great Lakes into New England. Storms could turn heavy and gusty through portions of northern Illinois and southern Michigan into northern Ohio, southern New York, and New England. A few of the scattered afternoon thunderstorms will also develop over the Rockies, a few of which could turn gusty in parts of southeast Wyoming. Outside of that, the nation will be largely dry, with temperatures soaring well into the 90s in the Ohio Valley into southern New England, and AccuWeather real field temperatures approaching 100 in many locations this afternoon. There are many heat advisories in effect. That's the weather across America. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania will have quite the scorcher today with plenty of sunshine and a high of 96. Cheyenne, Wyoming will be much more comfortable with clouds and some sun and a gusty afternoon thunderstorm and a high of 81. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Remember, you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. Louisiana has become the first state in the nation to require that the 10 Commandments be displayed in every classroom. Correspondent Mike Hempen reports lawsuits are expected to be filed against the plan.
Louisiana has become the first state requiring the 10 Commandments be displayed in every public school classroom. Republican Governor Jeff Landry has signed the bill into law. The legislation, drafted by Republicans, calls for a poster-sized display of the 10 Commandments in easily readable font be displayed in all public classrooms, from kindergarten to state-funded universities. Opponents question the law's constitutionality, warning there could be lawsuits. Proponents say the purpose of the measure is not solely religious, but that it has historical significance. The displays must be in place in classrooms by the start of 2025. I'm Mike Hempen.
President Biden's executive order announced this week continues to draw backlash, including from many Republicans. Correspondent Clayton Neville has that story.
The new immigration policy lets non-citizens who've been in the U.S. for at least 10 years and are married to a U.S. citizen apply for permanent residence and eventually citizenship in America, along with their kids. President Biden calling the move a common sense approach that keeps families together.
These couples have been raising families, sending their kids to church and school, paying taxes, contributing to our country. for 10 years or more. Matter of fact, the average time they've spent here is 23 years. People were affected today.
The executive order comes not long after the president limited asylum if the number of illegal crossings at the southern border are high. Before that, the Biden administration had insisted it was on Congress to address a surge of migration at the southern border. Republicans now questioning the president's timing on his recent response, months out from the presidential election.
The Biden administration is also directly violating the law, and they know it. That's why they're doing it right before the election, is they want to make this an election issue.
Republican Senator James Langford spoke with Fox News.
And they also know the courts are going to throw this out because the law clearly states you can't do parole on someone currently in the country. They have to be outside the country.
And Forbes reporting that the new immigration policy could allow DACA recipients greater access to H-1B work visas. I'm Clayton Neville.
Airfares slashed, the summer home buying outlook, and our nation's trillion-dollar companies. When America in the Morning returns after these messages. Back with you now. This is America in the Morning. The Business Report is sponsored by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments has a team of specialists in investing, financial planning, estate planning, and more. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Lots to get to in business today. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street back at it this morning after the Juneteenth holiday yesterday. 7 trading days left in June. The S&P 500 index and the NASDAQ each open at fresh record highs this morning. NVIDIA surpassed Microsoft on Tuesday to become the most valuable public company in the world with a market cap of $3.3 trillion.
Clearly, it's an amazing business. It became the largest market cap company in the world, and we have like a presidential election coming up in 140 days, and everyone's going to be negative about so much stuff. Pause and say, NVIDIA is an American company. Apple's an American company. Google's an American company. Microsoft's an American company. These multi-trillion-dollar companies that are spending tens of billions of dollars on R&D and CapEx are doing this in America because we have the world's greatest capital markets.
Corvex Management's Keith Meister on CNBC. Now, with summer arriving later today, the summer home buying market will begin after a disappointing spring market for home sales. If you've been hearing that there are a lot of homes on the market for sale now that weren't before, that is true, but it's still way below normal.
Context is really important here. There's 1.5 million single-family homes in the market today. That's up 15% year over year. That's still below historical average. Inventory is still actually very, very low.
UBS's John Lovallo on CNBC. June is a big month for weddings, but a lot of engagements too. And diamonds may be forever, but demand isn't.
Prices of the precious gems are down nearly 6% so far this year and a whopping 30% since 2022, according to Zeminski's Rough Diamond Index, a growing preference for lab-grown stones. And there are fewer people getting married.
CNBC's Tyler Matheson.
How are airfares looking for the summer travel season?
Juneteenth holiday behind us, July 4th holiday ahead of us, and that one's quickly approaching, and more people are flying this year. We asked the lead economist at travel app Hopper if people are paying more for those airline seats or less.
Less. Airfare domestically is down about 18% compared to this time last year. International airfare is down different amounts to different regions.
Hopper's Haley Berg on CNBC, and she says there are still, even now, some affordable trip options for the 4th.
It's late, but there are still some deals available. You have to be flexible. Depart on 4th of July, come back a weekday the week following, and be flexible on where you go.
On today's watch list, we've got earnings coming from Accenture, Olive Garden parent Darden Restaurants, Kroger, and RV maker Winnebago. On this date in 1975, Jaws opened in U.S. theaters. Box Office Mojo says it cost $7 million to make and has grossed $266 million since.
Not bad. CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When we return on America in the Morning, you'll never guess what this politician was doing. Caught on video camera. When America in the Morning returns after these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. A court in Russia sentenced an American soldier to 3 years and 9 months in a Siberian penal colony after finding him guilty of theft and threatening to kill his Russian girlfriend. It was alleged that U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Gordon Black stole money from his girlfriend and grabbed her by the neck at her home in an eastern Russian town. As the pair began a relationship, she returned to Russia without him. He followed her there without notifying his commanders or getting permission. The U.S. State Department warns Americans against traveling to Russia. Well, here's a story that sounds like it came out of junior high school. Katie Clark reports on what one Vermont politician was caught doing on camera.
State Representative Jim Carroll would hang his tote bag in a hallway during meetings. On occasion, he returned to find his bag wet. He said it happened a couple times a week for months. At one point, he went to rehab and was gone for a period of time. Once he returned, he would find his bag wet daily. Carroll finally decided to set up a hidden camera, only to discover a fellow representative, Mary Morrissey, pouring water into his bag. Mary Morrissey speaking on WCAX TV Burlington.
I hope Jim, my legislative colleagues, all of our State House staff and those who work in this building and the citizens of Vermont can forgive me.
Jim Carroll speaking on WCAX TV.
You know, after 5 months of that, and it was torment. There's no doubt about it, with me anyway. There's going to be some work to be done between the two of us.
Morrissey has not stated why she was pouring water into his bag, but Jim Carroll said that she would mistreat him. Mary Morrissey faces an ethics investigation. I'm Katie Clark.
America in the Morning for Thursday, June 20th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Production assistants Christian Matos, senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
The first named storm of this hurricane season packs quite the punch. I'm Clayton Neville.
The White House cancels a high-level meeting with Israel. I'm Pamela Furr.
Mother Nature could help firefighters in New Mexico, and Russia and North Korea make a deal.
Investigators are trying to determine the cause of a house collapse in Syracuse, New York. I'm Mike Hempen.
The price of gas has dropped about 14 cents in a month. I'm Rita Foley.
Los Angeles County becomes the next public school to ban smartphones. I'm tech correspondent Chuck Palm.
What big movies do we have to look forward to for the rest of 2024? I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. This is America in the Morning. Summer arrives, so has tropical storms. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy with the forecast.
In what is expected to be a very busy tropical season, Tropical Storm Alberto became the first named system in the Atlantic Basin as of yesterday morning. Alberto will be making landfall first thing this morning over Mexico, but the rainfall associated with the storm will extend well to the north into South Texas. It will produce some gusty winds, but the stronger winds should mostly remain to the south. This rainfall could even reach up into the Big Bend of Texas, and rainfall could be heavy enough to produce flash flooding throughout the day into tonight. Another concern with the tropics, AccuWeather hurricane experts are monitoring another feature headed into northern Florida late tonight, which could bring some showers and heavier thunderstorms. This looks much less organized. There will be some showers and thunderstorms across much of Florida prior to this system's arrival throughout the day today. A cold front across the northern plains into the northeast will be slowly moving southward, leading to widespread showers and thunderstorms from eastern South Dakota and Nebraska through southern Minnesota and Iowa, and then continuing through the rest of the Great Lakes into New England. A few of the storms could turn heavy and gusty through portions of northern Illinois, southern Michigan, northern Ohio, and southern New York, as well as New England. A few more scattered thunderstorms will also develop over the Rockies, a few of which could turn gusty in parts of southeast Wyoming. Outside of that, the nation will be largely dry, with temperatures soaring well into the 90s across the Ohio Valley and into southern New England. AccuWeather real field temperatures will approach 100 in many locations this afternoon. There are many heat advisories in effect, so do take caution if you're outside in these areas. The west will also be quite warm to hot with plenty of sunshine, highs in the 80s to 100 in teens. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Pat Rindy.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. Some roads are already underwater as the first named storm of this hurricane season is impacting the coasts of Texas and Louisiana, and it's expected to make landfall in Mexico. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports on preparations from the Lone Star State.
Heavy rain and storm surge causing coastal flooding in places like Galveston and Surfside, Texas, east to coastal Louisiana. Alberto upgraded yesterday to a tropical storm as it moved through the Gulf of Mexico. The major concerns here, flash flooding, wind higher than 50 miles per hour, and coastal and river flooding. Several roads in Corpus Christi and other cities and towns already closed because of high water.
The system is not really strengthening very fast. That's very typical for these big, large systems. Even if the pressure falls, the pressure gradient's not that tight near the center. It's really spread out. So we still have maximum winds of about 40 miles per hour. Those might tick up a little bit. In terms of the water impacts, the rainfall, the coastal flooding, the tropical storm force winds, that's really not going to change very much.
Dr. Mike Brennan is the director of the National Hurricane Center and spoke with KHOU TV in Houston.
Minimal tropical storms, weaker tropical storms, the impacts are all on the water side. And we sort of had this double whammy here of the storm surge inundation. Again, seeing that 2 to 4 feet above ground level, especially in the Galveston Bay Area. You combine that with the heavy rainfall and you get that sort of total water where you get the ocean water, the Gulf water, and the rainfall flooding, sort of rainfall combining together to create a worse situation than you would have from either one by themselves.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott has issued a disaster declaration for more than 50 counties. The National Weather Service says that Alberto is expected to cause ongoing coastal flooding through this week. The state has rescue crews and resources ready to go and National Guard troops ready to respond where needed. The system forecast to drop 5 to 10 inches of rain across northeast Mexico into South Texas, up to 20 inches possible across the higher terrain of places like Nuevo León and Tamaulipas, Mexico. I'm Clayton Neville.
The White House has canceled a high-level U.S.-Israel meeting on Iran that was supposed to happen this week after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu released a controversial video. Correspondent Pamela Furr has details.
Two sources telling Axios that President Biden's advisors are furious about the video where Netanyahu claimed the U.S. is withholding military aid.
It's inconceivable that in the past few months, the administration has been withholding weapons and ammunition to Israel. Israel, America's closest ally, fighting for its life, fighting against Iran and our other common enemies.
The White House says the U.S. has delayed just one shipment of heavy bombs, but most shipments have been delivered or are on their way. Secretary of State Antony Blinken.
We have a commitment to make sure that Israel has what it needs to defend itself against a whole variety of threats. Gaza is part of it. But it far surpasses Gaza in terms of the threats they face. The president's committed to that.
Now, according to ABC News, the White House is pushing back on the notion they canceled because of the video, instead saying it was a scheduling conflict. Meanwhile, 2 Israeli officials are now on their way to Washington to meet with National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan.
Secretary Blinken assured me that the administration is working day and night to remove these bottlenecks. I certainly hope that's the case. It should be the case. During World War II, Churchill told the United States, "Give us the tools, we'll do the job." And I say, give us the tools and we'll finish the job a lot faster.
Regardless, behind the scenes, U.S. envoy Amos Hochstein was able to deliver a message to Netanyahu personally since he was in the region that the White House is baffled by what was said in the video, going as far as saying the accusations were both inaccurate and out of line, according to Axios. I'm Pamela Furr.
One person is known to have died, and an entire town was evacuated in New Mexico as 2 out-of-control wildfires are converging toward each other. Lisa Dwyer reports that the firefighters could soon receive much-needed help from Mother Nature.
Cooler weather and a chance of rain from a tropical wave in the Gulf could bring some relief to firefighters battling a pair of wildfires in southern New Mexico.
20,000 plus acres, 0% containment. The reason for the update is to alert people that these are very serious fires. Traveling in and around that southeastern part of the state is not only not allowable right now with road closures, but it's discouraged even where roads are open.
More than 1,400 structures have been damaged or destroyed in the mountain village of Ruidoso.
Until you're in the middle of it, you just don't know. It's just unexplainable how you feel. But just our hearts are just heavy and sad. As far as our area, we have no idea. The power is out, so all the cameras that people have are not working, so nobody really knows.
Officials say that if the rain misses the fires, downward winds could cause problems for firefighters on the ground, and rain could also lead to dangerous flash flooding in newly burned areas in the region.
We knew it was urgent because usually they say ready, set, go, and ready, you could be there for a day or two. Set is a couple hours usually. Go means now, and the call was for our area. We never got ready, set, it was go.
Nationwide, wildfires have scorched more than 3,200 square miles this year, a figure higher than the 10-year averages. About 20 wildfires currently burning are considered large and uncontained, including blazes in California and Washington state. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Focus back on the books as this major city school board votes to ban smartphones in classrooms. That and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. I'm John Trout. Sometimes all it takes is a limousine and a dagger to get things done. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports on the deepening ties between Moscow and Pyongyang and a NATO-style defense deal their two leaders signed.
Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un have signed a new partnership deal that includes a vow of mutual aid if either country is attacked, as both face escalating standoffs with the West. It's not clear what kind of assistance the deal, described as a comprehensive strategic partnership, would call for. Speaking after a signing ceremony, Putin said that security and international issues took up a large part of the talks with Kim, according to Russian state media. He's also quoted as saying that Russia would not rule out developing military technical cooperation with North Korea under the deal. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
A quiet street in Syracuse, New York, was rocked by what sounded like an explosion that caused a house to collapse, injuring as many as 13 people. Correspondent Mike Hempen has the story.
Authorities say the residents, a mix of children and adults, were taken to the hospital. 2 are in very serious condition. Syracuse Fire Department District Chief Matt Craner says investigators are working to determine what caused a 2-story house to collapse.
We are treating this from a fire department perspective as we would treat any other major scene investigation. It's a very methodical, meticulous process. We sort of leave no stone unturned throughout this investigation, and we're going to do everything we can to determine what caused this to happen.
The audio courtesy of WSYR TV. Firefighters responded Tuesday afternoon to several 911 calls of what sounded like a house explosion. Officials say they encountered downed power lines and a heavy odor of natural gas at the scene. Many of the victims already were in the front yard. At least one had to be pulled out of a car that had burned.
The working theory is that they were just in the vehicle, sort of in the wrong place at the wrong time. Fortunately, we were able to get them out of the vehicle quickly and to waiting medical care.
I'm Mike Hempen.
A multi-state manhunt is underway for the suspect in a triple murder in Oklahoma. Arkansas authorities say 50-year-old Stacy Lee Drake was last seen on surveillance video in a small town northwest of Little Rock. Drake's a career criminal who's also wanted in connection with another murder, robbery, and 2 carjackings. Police believe he's armed and is a serious danger as he remains on the run. Good news for motorists at the gas pump. Correspondent Rita Foley explains.
The national average for a gallon of gas today is about $3.45 a gallon. A month ago, it was $3.59, says the AAA. Of course, that's an average. The highest prices tend to be in the West. It's $4.82 a gallon on average in California. The lowest prices are in the Midwest and the South. It's $2.94 in Arkansas. The AAA's got some tips for you if you're trying to save on gas. Slow down, avoid jackrabbit starts, and don't let your vehicle idle for a long time. And when possible, travel outside the high traffic times of the day. I'm Rita Foley.
For the first time in a while, 2 states have gas prices below $3 a gallon, and 17 states now have an average price of $3.25 or less. One reason for the lower prices, the United States is the top daily producer of oil in the world, now pumping over 13 million barrels of oil every day, and it's expected to reach 14 million by the end of the year, the most of any country in history. The Los Angeles County Public School Board has voted to ban smartphones and social media by January 2025. Here's tech correspondent Chuck Palm with that story.
The Los Angeles School District Board of Education said on Tuesday they have voted to ban smartphones for its 429,000 students in an attempt to insulate kids from distractions that undermine learning and hurt mental health. The board voted 5-2, approving the resolution prohibiting the use by students of social media platforms and cell phones. The policy will take place by January 2025. Board member Nick Melvian, who proposed the resolution, said, "I think we're going to be on the vanguard here, and students in this entire city and country are going to benefit as a result." School officials said they will also examine the use of other technologies such as smartwatches. In a related story, the Federal Trade Commission said on Tuesday they have referred a complaint against social media platform TikTok and its parent ByteDance over potential violation of children's privacies. The statement said the investigation uncovered reason to believe named defendants are violating or about to violate law and that a proceeding is in the public interest. Comment at allthetoptech.tech. I'm Chuck Palm.
Up now to Thursday sports and America in the Morning's Robert Workman.
Baseball Wednesday saw some hot pitching as the summer solstice approached. Guardians torpedoed the Mariners 8-0. Tanner Bybee struck out a career-high 12 in a combo 3-hitter. Brewers blanked the Angels 2-0. Freddie Peralta and the Dreamers with a 4-hitter. Braves shut out the Tigers 7-0. Ronaldo Lopez and the Duncans scattered 8 hits. And the Pirates took a 1-0 thriller from the Reds. Dandy pitching from Mitch Keller and Hunter Green each allowed just 2 hits into the 7th inning. Brian Reynolds' 8th-inning homer was the only run of the game. Padres popped the Phillies 5-2 to end a 9-game road losing streak. Rockies edged the Dodgers 7-6. Brenton Doyle with sacrifice flies in the 7th to tie it and in the 9th to win it.
I was just trying to get a ball up in the zone, allowed me to drive the ball somewhere in the air and deep enough to where I can score Jake.
Marlins got their second walk-off in a row over the Cardinals 4-3. Orioles needed 10 innings to get past the Yankees 7-6. Baltimore lost a 4th pitcher to elbow surgery. Kyle Bradish meeting Tommy John. Rays shaded the Twins 3-2 in 10 innings. That ends Minnesota's 6-game winning streak. Red Sox have won 5 in a row after wiping out the Blue Jays. Cubs held off the Giants. Astros darned the White Sox. Nationals nipped the Diamondbacks. Rangers rallied past the Mets, and the A's ripped the Royals. At the College World Series, top-ranked Tennessee and number 3 Texas A&M advanced to the best-of-3 final series that begins Saturday in Omaha, each seeking their first championship. This will be the 2nd straight year and the 3rd time in the last 4 that 2 SEC schools will battle for the crown. At Euro 2024, host Germany won its 2nd straight game, becoming the first team to advance to the round of 16 this year. And it was just 1 year ago that the Pistons hired Monty Williams to be their new head coach, giving him a huge 6-year contract. Yesterday, he was fired after going 14-68 with a record-tying 28-game losing streak in his 1 year on the bench. Detroit still owes Williams $65 million. If anyone from the Pistons is listening, I will gladly not coach your team for half of that. Call me. That's Thursday Sports.
Thank you, sir. Preview from the theaters. Big movie remakes coming your way when America in the Morning returns after these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. Musician and music producer Quavo is pushing for an end to gun violence and teaming up his Rocket Foundation with Vice President Kamala Harris to get out the message. Entertainment correspondent Margie Zaraletta has a closer look.
We can't turn back the time. I can't turn back the time. If I turn back the time, you know who will be here. So it's just like moving forward, only thing we can do is clean it up.
Houston police say Takeoff of Migos was an innocent bystander when he was shot outside a Houston bowling alley in 2022. Quavo formed the Rocket Foundation to find answers to such violence.
When I saw him laying there, I felt like I saw me laying there. So I feel like when I'm doing something like the Rocket Foundation, I just want to uplift his legacy and make sure to keep his name alive.
Quavo says the foundation has made real strides in communities.
After a year and a half, we actually get some progress made. We raised money. We spreading it out to the right people.
Quavo has enlisted the help of members of Congress, and Vice President Kamala Harris was part of the Rocket Foundation summit in Atlanta.
We need an assault weapons ban. I'm in favor of the Second Amendment. I'm in favor of the Second Amendment, and we need universal background checks. I'm in favor of the Second Amendment, and we need red flag laws.
I'm Archie Zaraletta.
There have been few big blockbusters in movie theaters so far this year, but as Kevin Carr tells us, some big names have films coming out before the end of the year, including some remakes of classic hits.
Movie theaters are finally getting some traction, and Hollywood is seeking to keep that rebound going.
Hello, everybody! Rue, what's up?
A lot of hope is on Despicable Me on July 3rd. The Minions franchise is one of the most dependable moneymakers.
Your little cinematic universe is about to change forever.
And after some notable superhero stumbles, Deadpool and Wolverine hope to change things on July 26th.
That looks like a promising place. The place I might be able to see myself.
Western fans are holding out hope for Kevin Costner's two-part epic Horizon: An American Saga. The first part hit cinemas on June 28th, with the second part coming August 16th.
You think you can disrupt a tornado?
Glenn Powell can prove his box office might when the highly anticipated and appropriately named Twisters touches down on July 19th. Labor Day weekend will see the return of the ghost with the most when Beetlejuice returns from the dead.
The juice is loose.
Let's get out of here.
Comic book movies take another R-rated turn on October 4th with Joker: Folie à Deux.
We're Venom!
You're gonna need to work on that.
And on October 25th, the schlocky but popular Venom series gets another installment.
Ooh! Maui?
Moana 2 and Wicked come out in theaters on November 27th. And finally, go back to Pride Rock when the prequel Mufasa: The Lion King hits theaters on December 20th. I'm Kevin Carr.
That's our show for today, Thursday, June 20th, 2024. America in the Morning is produced by Jeff McKay. Production assistants Christian Matos. Our senior producer is Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.